Flaming Hot Cheeto Charizard, the Cheetozard, that just sold for
Cheetozard.
$87,000. What in the world? I'm at a card convention. They've got it in like this big protective display case. This has got to be one of the most unserious things I think I've ever seen go up for auction in the Pokemon world. This is hilarious.
Another thing that I was just thinking about, okay, let's say after you purchase it, like, are you gonna eat the chip? Like, what are you gonna do? I thought that was hilarious purchase. It gets worse. I feel like the banana and tape thing was even worse than that, in my opinion. Look at the people's faces during the auction.
Most expensive banana at 5,200,000. Here it is in all its splendor. We're going to begin at $800,000. At $800,000. 1 million is with me already, actually. 1,100,000 is your bid. So 1,200,000. 1,003,000 is in the room in a new place. So 1,300,000. 1,400,000.
Wow.
1,500,000. At $5,200,000. I think it's yours. Fair warning. At $5,200,000. The Catalan is yours. Congratulations. Thank you very much indeed.
This guy's so dumb.
Ridiculous paintings that have been insanely sold for millions of dollars. Part 1. First up, we have this one right here. They didn't even bother to name it, so let's just call it Yellow and Blue. It's by a man named Mark Rothko, and it sold for $46.5 million. Hey, at least this one's named. This one's called One Mint by Barnett Newman, and it cost $43.8 million for this thing.
Right, this is money laundering. I'm sorry. Like, what the hell am I listening to right now? What am I listening to right now?
Basically blue with a little line through the middle. Why do people buy these? This is gonna absolutely blow your mind. This is Blackfire 1 by Barnett Newman. This painting sold for $84.2 million.
This is crazy.
Why? Next up, we're talking about this one right here, Orange, Red, and Yellow by a man named Mark Rothko. And this painting sold for $86.9 million.
I think I'm about to turn into Pablo Picasso. This is ridiculous. Just the one painting, I'm like, okay, I understand. Damn! I never knew that. Hold up. The Mona Lisa is considered priceless and cannot be bought or sold as it belongs to the French government. It's permanently displayed at whatever museum. However, some estimations place it at $870 million, making it the most expensive painting in the world if it ever were to be sold. That's fucking crazy. Okay, that's crazy right there. That's crazy. This is the only painting on planet Earth I'll do this for. But the rest of them, they're tripping.
Harding still had one more thing in his bucket list. Seeing the Titanic.
Oh,
he immediately dropped $250K on a submarine ticket. But little did he know, it would be the biggest mistake of his life. Because this submarine was built by a dumbass. Not only was this thing piloted with a video game controller, it was made out of carbon fiber, one of the worst materials you can use on a sub. So when the day came, Harding and 4 other people descended into the ocean, and I think we all know what happened.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The sub imploded instantly, taking the lives of everyone on board. But for some unknown reason, the media ran with the idea that the crew was trapped for days, and that they needed to be rescued. That's definitely a little fishy. But he wasn't the only billionaire obsessed with submarines, because Richard Branson decided to make his own submarine too. Except Branson owns an entire airline company, so he got his airplane engineers to make an underwater plane for $662,000. Turns out Branson spent that much because he planned on doing a record dive to the Mariana Trench. But right before he could even try, James Cameron beat him to it. This next billionaire buys is actually just messed up, because Saudi Prince Al Walid buys little people and holds contests to see who can throw them the furthest. It's literally like the Olympic weight throwing contest, but instead of weights, it's little people. He said he views them as jesters and pays a bunch of them a salary every year, totaling around $1 million. And he makes them do some weird stuff. Like one time, he couldn't decide which private jet to buy, the Airbus or the Boeing. So he had 2 little people each say one of the jets, and whichever jet sounded the funniest, he would buy it. And if you're wondering, he ended up buying the Airbus. Elon Musk spent $1 million on something a little different. Elon bought a car that can turn into a submarine. Look, I don't know what this billionaire fetish for submarines is, but it's the same car used in the James Bond movie, and I'm just as surprised as you that it actually works. But one billionaire spent over $2 million on a piece of paper? This is Billy the Kid, a famous outlaw.
Bro, do y'all hear how stupid some of these purchases are? Like, y'all see, yo, it's like the more they make, the more they lose their mind. Y'all hear how dumb some of this shit sound?
1800s. And I guess this billionaire has something for criminals. So he bought one of the only pics of this dude for $2.3 million. But that's still not as weird as the lady who spent millions of dollars just to look like a cat. Right after Jocelyn Wildenstein divorced her husband, she received $2.5 billion. And they definitely should have signed a prenup, because she really used that money to turn herself into a cat. Yeah, she used to look good, but after years of plastic surgery, this is her now. She's literally nicknamed Catwoman after spending a total of $4 million on plastic surgery. And she really turned into a crazy cat lady, because by 77 years old, she was left with $0 in her bank account. How do you even lose that much money? If I told you that someone spent even more just to smell some ass. And not just any ass. Marilyn Monroe's ass. One of the most famous women ever. See, she wore this dress to President Kennedy's birthday party, but after she passed away, it came out that the dress was worn without any underwear. So this creepy ass billionaire scooped it up for $4.8 million just so he could smell it somehow. Bill Gates bought scribbles in a book worth more than that. Of course, it's not just any book. It's by the famous artist Leonardo da Vinci. And Da Vinci was pretty weird. In this notebook, he wrote from right to left. And it's not like people during his time did that. Nah, he was the only one. And I guess that intrigued Bill, because he bought the notebook for $30 million, making it the most expensive book in history. But that's nothing, because after Jeffrey Epstein died, Stefan Dekov decided he wanted to buy the Pedo Islands. Now that alone is just a red flag. But it gets even worse, because he plans to turn the island's mansions into a hotel, for people to sleep at night knowing what went down in there. These islands were originally selling for $125 million, but this guy must have gotten the friends and family discount, because he bought both the islands for $60 million. That's just sketchy, man. But Cecil Chow spent double that amount on something you'll never believe. Because after he found out his daughter was lesbian, he offered $65 million to any dude that could turn her straight. But after thousands of guys failed, Chow started getting desperate. So he decided to double his offer to $120 million. But this next billionaire spent even more on a 100-year-old naked woman. Because in 2015, a painting of a nude woman was being auctioned off. And even though this billionaire knows nothing about art, he was so down bad, he was willing to overpay by $70 million for a total of $170 million. He hung it up in his wall, do you think?
This is outrageous, bro.
So the pyramid was abandoned and nicknamed the Tomb of Doom. The only thing remaining was the cursed crystal skull at the top. No one wanted to touch it for years, until billionaire Johnny Morris had the crazy idea of turning it into a giant Bass Pro Shop. He wanted to include things like a full lake on the inside you could fish out of, and a giant elevator that would take you to the top of the pyramid. But considering the place was cursed, he just couldn't decide if he should buy it. So he left the decision up to a fish? No, really. He went out fishing with his buddies on the river next to the pyramid and said, if I catch one of the biggest catfish of my life, I'll buy the pyramid today. But if I don't catch anything good, we won't buy it. And 10 minutes before they were about to leave,
Giant! Oh my gosh, look at this fish!
he caught one, and it was massive. So a literal fish ended up making the decision to buy this pyramid for $215 million. And today, the mega shop is alive and well. This next billionaire literally bought the Titanic. No, not the one at the bottom of the ocean. This dude wanted to make an exact replica called the Titanic 2. Not only is it going to look like the old Titanic, but the Titanic 2 is going to go in the same route where the original Titanic sank. With all that modern equipment though, I don't think it'll sink, unless the name is cursed. But this dude's obsession with the Titanic set him back a staggering $567 million. Now that might seem like a ridiculous amount of money, but that's not even close to the weirdest thing a billionaire has ever paid for. Because I bet you didn't know, in 2019, Michael Bloomberg was running for president, which is crazy, because he spent more on advertising than all the Democratic candidates combined. His campaign only lasted 3 months, but somehow, in 3 months, this man spent over $1 billion on ads for his campaign. And still, no one knew he was running. It was the biggest waste of money ever, because after he spent $1 billion, he got roasted so hard that he gave up.
I'd like to talk about who we're running against. A billionaire who calls women fat broads and horse-faced lesbians. And no, I'm not talking about Donald Trump. I'm talking about Mayor Bloomberg.
Our campaign today for the presidency ends.
I think it gets to the point where you just get bored and you just got to start trying new shit to excite you, because this is one of the craziest videos I ever watched. The only respectable piece out of all the shit I showed you guys was Mona Lisa. Like, if somebody spent however many millions on that, I'm like, okay, it's Mona Lisa, I get it. The rest, a banana for $6 million, a Cheeto for $87,000. Come on, be serious.